Black people were brought from the African continent. It wasn't just to America. And just look at this woman's comment section. You will clearly see who picks up a book and reads it and who doesn't, because they're eating up this BS that she's talking about, how everybody came from modern day Africa. Those with celebrity status are using that very status to fool the nations, because people are so gullible. They think, oh, they have X amount of followers, so everything they're saying just has to be true. So they look at things that are superficial, that mean absolutely nothing, to determine whether they believe something or not, instead of going off of pure receipts, pure facts. I guess not everyone can be the sharpest tool in the shed or the brightest crayon in the box. It takes all types to make the world go round. If people would only pick up a book and read it, they would learn that Ethiopia was actually in America before it was moved over to modern day Africa. They would also know that the ancient kingdom of Ghana was in the Americas before it was moved over there to modern day Africa. Notice the words ancient. Peep this. In order for a place to be considered ancient, it often refers to a period beginning around 3000 BC. If Ghana was ancient, why was it established in the 1950s? Yes, prior to it being named Ghana, it was called the Gold Coast by the colonizers. See, they were shipped from America in Christopher Columbus slave trade and dumped in modern day Africa and throughout the world. Keep in mind, it would be about 3,000 years old or older if it was considered to be ancient. And Ghana being established in the 1950s is nowhere near 3,000 years old. Neither is Nigeria. Neither is Benin. Neither is Togo. Neither is Morocco. Neither is modern day Egypt. Neither is Israel. All of these places were established around the 1940s, but most of them were in the 50s and 60s. Shh, let me show y'all something. This brother right here, who is the prime minister or president of Togo, guess where his roots come from? Brazil. But they're African? Yes, his people are from Brazil. All right. There is an Afro-Brazilian community in Togo, or at least there was. But they came from Brazil, South America, where they were transported from in Christopher Columbus's slave trade. And when they first came to Ghana, they were not able to speak the language. And they would always say tabon, which meant okay, I believe it was. And so they called them the Tabon people. The Tabon peoples are Afro-Brazilian community of former enslaved peoples who migrated to Africa, Ghana. When they arrived in Jamestown, Accra, they could only speak Portuguese. Every last one of them came from America, South America to be exact. You're not Africans. You're Hebrews. And there's a huge difference in DNA. We are not the same people as Africans. Africans are considered to be white people, and they are mostly concentrated in the Horn of Africa, but yet scattered throughout Africa. And some of their DNA is mixed in with the Hebrews in Africa. And this is where we were brought from? Like, come on, use this. Make that make sense. It's not ancient, people. This is not rocket science. Guess what place is ancient? In the real El Kebulon, the real motherland. America was around during that time, and it in fact is ancient. Explain why our pyramids are older, and it's dated back to around that 3000 BC mark, which is more than likely far older than that, because that's just when they were able to date it back to. This pyramid in Louisiana, USA, is 5,000 to 8,000 years old, and probably, like I said, older than that. But Sudan's pyramids, Giza's pyramids, they don't even pale in comparison. These pyramids in Sudan and in Giza, which is supposed to be ancient Egypt, they're not even nearly as old as the pyramids in Louisiana. Not to mention, by far, the oldest pyramid on record, which is in Mexico, the Cholula, which is actually the Tower of Babel. And you mean to tell me that modern day Africa is older than the pyramid that was built, that they said, hey, let's build this up into the heavens in Babel, the Tower of Babel, which is actually recorded in the scriptures? And feel free to use whichever translation you like in the scriptures. It clearly tells you that everybody was scattered throughout the earth after they built the Tower of Babel, and the languages were confused. It says that the Lord dispersed them from there over the face of the earth, and they left off building the city. Hello? But modern day Africa is the motherland? We came from modern day Africa? This lie that Africa is the oldest and we all came from it comes from supremacists. The ACS were a bunch of pale-skinned supremacists. And then the Skinfolk that ain't kinfolk, Universal Negro Improvement Association, they assisted our people in being dumped in Africa. Which part of this do you not understand? Look, read this newspaper article right here. The Cherokee N-words may be led off to the Liberia in Africa. Okay, so it's not just Liberia that our people were led off to from America. They were led off to Angola as well, all over modern day West Africa. And from there, the Bantu expansion, they spread throughout Africa. And unfortunately, after they left the shores of America, since they were now prisoners of war to not only the pale-skinned colonizers, but also the skinfolk that ain't kinfolk who collude right along with them. And they were renamed all these different names. The ones in Africa were named African. This is not rocket science, guys. It's not rocket science. We know that the colonizers save everything. They steal artifacts from the indigenous people all over the earth, and they've put them in museums for all to see. So where are these slave ships that we supposedly came in on from Africa to America? I want to see the slave ships. And if you happen to be watching this, Miss Joy Reid, you need to pick up a book yourself, darling, and read it. And explain this to me. How now the colonizers are actually telling the truth. How the slave trade was actually, it began in America. In the Americas. Not modern day Africa. And guess what, Joy? Please explain to me why there is barely a presence of African DNA in America if we were brought over here on slave ships. Why? And also tell me why all of the crops that people in West Africa and just Africa as a whole enjoy, that fufu y'all love so much, the cocoa, the plantains, the cocoa yams, the okra, the corn, millet, all of it, it all originated in America. But Africa is the motherland. There's no way anyone can deny that we all came from America and that America is the true motherland with these receipts. And if you don't believe it, prove with receipts that modern day Africa is the motherland or shush.